Can you speak to how we can not protect ourselves, but guard against psychic influences, and then once it comes to us, how we remove it from ourselves?
The best protection to all of those things is awareness. It's always been the best protection. We can use there are certain forms that have been brought forward, where you visualize a certain thing and it ties you to something that's been brought forward from the spirit world or from, let's say, the metaphysical worlds as a protection. And those can give us some form of protection. But the greatest protection we always have is the knowing of what is. The more we know the divine, we know what is so, the more we'll know when something contrary to that has got our attention and our engagement. And yet we live in this level which has so much of that going on, just constantly from every different level we're pulled, that to expect to be in a place where we're unaffected all the time is pretty hopeless. Really what we do is we get so good at catching the one when something's taking us away from our knowing or our centeredness that we get ourselves back very quickly. So it's like the old idea of, to shoot the missile towards the moon. It's so hard to do, but it's course correcting. Well, that's what we're doing. We're course correcting all the time. So the more we know that which is our target, the more we know that think of it like this. If my target is the moon, if I know that I am my target, that I am the moon, what happens is the moon pulls me to itself. So as I start to move away, it actually is pulling me back to itself. So as long as I let go of something else that's trying to pull me something else, and I recognize, I don't need to be going there, I automatically go back to that which I am. There's a statement John Roger used to make. He said, seeing above all else as a thing. And we think, well, because the eyes are better sense. We're really not talking about seeing in the physical sense. We're talking about really being able to see from there back. That's really to see spiritually. Spiritual side is when you're there looking back. And so, because you're looking back, you can see the way and you can see that which is the trap and the distraction and everything else. That's the way out of everything, if we can get to that and look back. Because it's outside of it also, it always has an overview. It always can see the pitfalls. All those things have ability to seduce my consciousness. They have more ability to seduce my consciousness the more I am identified with the one that's here. But the more I know myself as the one that is there, looking back on all this, the less power these things have to hold me. Because as they start to hold on to me, what happens is I start to suffer. And what I start to suffer is the lack of the remembrance. And so automatically I go to the remembrance because the suffering is too great. Because the more you have that remembrance, the more unbearable it is to not have that.
With clearing, if you're, and I'm specifically talking about something from someone else, one of two things: responsibility, which is what it is most of the time, or over-responsiveness. Over-responsibility is I had authority over them sometime in the past. I was their parent, I was their teacher, I was their clergy, I was their, moderator, I was their leader. I had responsibility for them, so I feel responsible for them. See, I can put out something to Sherry, I'm not picking somebody who's here, obviously. I can put out something to Sherry all day, let me use Michael. I can put out something on Michael all day long. You should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Watch it, dear, take the high ground. Okay. Okay, but if he doesn't have a karmic opening to me, it will just come right back to me, like water off a duck's back, and he will go along his merry way and not be influenced at all. Okay? So if he has a karmic opening to me, though, and I keep implanting, you should do what I want. Now, generally, do we do these things consciously? Do we affect each other consciously? Rarely, if ever. Maybe subconsciously, I really want him to do this thing. If my emotions and all of me is really going towards that, I might be subconsciously influencing, but it's not conscious. Okay, I'm not consciously implanting him or doing anything like that. So if you pick up something from someone else, and really the acid test is do you feel better after the clearing? But if you pick up something from someone else, it's not conscious. We all do it all the time to each other. If we have karmic openings, if we have something we want from someone, okay, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. It means they are breathing, and it means we have. Let me take accountability. I have a karmic opening to that. So so it's either over-responsibility or over-responsiveness. Over-responsiveness is far more rare, and that's when they had authority over me. Okay? Do you have to know what it is they want you to do? Well, it's helpful. Gosh, I feel compelled to do what this person is telling me to do, even though I don't want to. Okay? So to forgive it, this is way oversimplifying. Okay? But it still can be affected. So is it over-responsibility or over-responsiveness? Do I feel responsible for them, or do I feel responsible to them? Do I feel like they have responsibility over me? Okay? And then it's one really effective forgiveness. So we clear with awareness. 1 is light, 2 is awareness, 3 is forgiveness. So one catch-all forgiveness is I forgive the judgments that I need to give them power and authority over my consciousness. That clears a lot of stuff. Is it helpful for you to know what it is and how many? Sure. But we're talking down and dirty, quick, and let's just clear it, okay?
Can you say it again, please?
I forgive the judgments that I need to give them power and authority over my consciousness. If you know their name, put their name in. I forgive the judgments I need to give Charlie power and authority over my consciousness. If it's a curse, if I feel like I'm holding myself back to please them, I forgive myself for judging myself back. I forgive myself for judging myself for holding myself back to please Charlie.